1, go. Food khana kha liya. I see already everyone's had food. I was already seeing some people snoozing. So may I have everyone's kind attention? Is everyone listening? Can I get a yes? Yes. बहुत दही बल्ले खा लिए. Can I get a yes? Yes. Okay, cool. So let's begin. I'm going to begin by saying this was a little hello from us. I love cats. I've got about 2 cats. And moving on from here, I'm going to dive straight into who I am and why I'm here. और मेरे बाल लंबे क्यों हैं और मैं क्या करता हूँ और pretty much everything that we'll talk about. So, concerted chaos, aka my life. Now, why do I say concerted chaos? I'm putting my name to it just because the title of this discussion is this. We're gonna dive into that slowly. So this was me while I was growing up. I grew up in a traditional Kashmiri household, and much like every other household in India, every parent wants their kid to become a doctor, an engineer, or maybe a pilot. But and at the same time, me being me, I was somewhere, where I thought this is going to be a chaotic life because I hated studies. Now, coming here and I am talking about studies, and especially, in the middle of all you brainiacs, I'm going to use that word because you made it this far, right? मेरे से तो वो भी नहीं हुआ. But coming to that, Kashmir is where I started off. My parents moved to Delhi in the 80s, and only in search of a better livelihood, right? And that's where I said, this was me in school, and I always gravitated towards the arts and nothing else, right? When I started making art, that's where I almost found peace, and studies for me was almost like jail time, right? This was me when, previously when I was talking about, this is what I used to look like when I was in my 11th standard, but studies took a U-turn, and from there, I failed in my 11th standard, right? Parents were like, अरे बहुत style मारता है, इसके बाल काटो, सीधा हो जाएगा एकदम. And basis that, I thought maybe it will work, and to my surprise, to their surprise, I failed again. So it was like a straight up no to them, saying, okay, none of this really matters, but at the same time, I was trying my best to actually finish school. But at the same time, I picked up guitar. And this is when I was like, what, music is a place where I can actually let my creativity flow. And in comes the time when I said, okay, let's try. Cannot try that thing. Right? That happened. And at the same time, I picked up the guitar. This is what I look like with the lovely face. So, this was my band. And this is me. But, so, this is when I was like, what, music to bajai rahe. I was also making artwork for bands. I was making artwork for my own band. And slowly and steadily, other bands sort of started approaching me saying, listen, Aaquib, your work's great. Why don't you work for us as well? Make album covers for my band as well. So that's when I was like, what, chalo karte hain. And this is how I slowly started making artwork. Learned a bit of Photoshop and slowly sort of got onto every damn software out there. Just because I was like, what, padhai to ho nahi rahi hai, kuch maza aa raha hai, wahi kar lete hain. And so on and so forth. Started working with DJs, artists, kept on drawing things, and slowly sort of forayed into working with music festivals as well. So these are just some of the posters that you're seeing. Yes, a lot of gory stuff as well that I ended up doing, which then ended up me working at a music magazine. Now that was my very first job. Straight out of school, managed to finish school somehow. Also at the same time, when I got into college, this is something fun that everyone will know. I had started my first year, but then again never went to college because I was playing in a band. And in the middle I was like, chalo, naukri to mil hi gayi hai. At the end of the day, the goal essentially is to get a job, right? And here I was, at the age of 18, I was like, what, let's just go for it. Job to mil hi gayi, and that's how I was, I started off as an intern working at this magazine, and continued becoming, the junior designer, and then got on to becoming the art director for the magazine. And all of this was in a span of 4 months. And let me tell you also, I am a self-taught designer. So none of which you're seeing right now was anything in design or art for that matter. Whatever you're seeing just came from here. So these are just some of the things that I worked on since the very beginning. And 2014 is when I thought, you know what, chalo, bahut hua. Now let's just try and shift into from 2D to get onto a 3D space, right? This is when I joined scenographer Sumant. Now Sumant is also someone who's a big name in the space of spatial design, set design, and all of that. Even weddings, for that matter, right? Now this is where I say butterfly in a storm. This is where I felt like a tiny little butterfly out there in the world of these magnanimous weddings that used to happen at the same time. And this was the kind of skills that you would work on, right? It would take about months to create something as big as this, and at the same time, just for a couple of hours is what you would end up spending time with. So, from the biggest of the biggest weddings to the smallest of the smallest, and even also to be a part of something as this. This was London Design Biennale. This was something in 2016. This is where about 37 countries had participated, and I got to be a part of the Indian team that was there. And this is something that we had created. Come 2018 is when I realized, okay, बहुत हो गया लोगों के लिए काम करना. Now is the time when I can actually think of something building for my own self. It's something that I had always thought of, but never really had the push, because you're always scared. You're always wondering, maybe job है, इतना ही अच्छा रहेगा, salary आ रही है, क्यों stress लेना, right? So obviously वो सब नहीं था. In fact, I wanted to do something else. Every day a challenge would, in fact, want me to sort of, wake up from my bed at the same time, right? There was a lot of work, obviously, to begin with, because you wanted to sort of begin a studio, you have to think about a lot of things, office space, you have to pay salaries, you have to look for teams and all that, so what not, right? So, the very first thing, in fact, when Aaquib Wani design started, was, one of the biggest things that I got to work on was the Ambani wedding. Now, this was something that I never ever imagined, to be an art director for Isha Ambani's Sangeet, right? And to be working with a big project and a big team there. So, something funny that I wanted to share with you guys here was, I was like, okay, there is a wedding. Someone reached out to me saying, you have to pitch in a design. I was like, okay, fine, let's just figure this out. And I asked them who the client is, and they never really told me. And at the same time, I was like, okay, chalo, karte hain. And when I started giving out the design, it came back to me saying, okay, they've loved it. And I was like, now can you tell me who the client is? And that's when they told me, okay, this is the Ambanis that you were actually meeting. I was like, thank God you didn't tell me before. Otherwise, performance pressure ho jata, and none of this would have been possible. But having said that, this is where we ended up creating a bazaar entirely out of crafts. Now, this was for Reliance Foundation. Also something that I had a great time working with, because crafts, right? And crafts is something that I truly love working with. So, and at the same time, at the crafts, how we sort of, events as a space is a very, it's a space where there's a lot of pollution that we end up, contributing to. And at the same time, we said, let's not use the typical way of, decorating things. We ended up using crafts such as Shola pitch in this image. Now, this is a craft that comes from West Bengal, and it comes from trees itself. So, it's a very sustainable model, in fact, to use decor. And at the same time, we sort of had all the experiential activities where people could come, all the Firang guests would come and sort of have a great time understanding what the crafts of India is all about. So, when I go out and people ask me, what is it, Aaquib, that you do? I call myself as an experiential designer, and not just a designer or not just an art director, because we talk about experiences. Experiences is what shapes this, this whole chaos that we've got, right? In earlier days, you would usually have a concert, you would go there, grab a couple of drinks, come back, but at the same time, there would be nothing to really experience. And that's where our job as designers comes in place, saying, okay, this is something that we sort of want to bring in an experience, something that people have wanting for more. 2019, after 19 again was something where, people again reached out to me saying, okay, listen, there's another wedding that you have to be a part of. I was like, okay, tell me what this is. But this time I already knew this was again the Ambani wedding that I was called in for, and this time was the entire wedding that I had to sort of art direct, and not just a part of it. So this was a big moment for me, especially for someone who is a self-taught designer, and then having no means in training in design or education for that matter, because 12th pass, to be fair, and that's where I was. This is something that we had created for the wedding. Funnily enough, the brief that we got on this was, imagine Krishna in Italy. I was like, really, what does that mean? But then again, you have to work with clients. When you get briefs, you have to sort of play around with such crews. And having said that, people thought, "Arey वाह यार, Aaquib बड़ा आदमी बन गया, बड़े-बड़े clients हैं," and everyone thought, "Arey, Aaquib will get." But that was not the case. I wasn't doing this really in my life, but it was challenging, it was chaotic, because events at the end of the day is, we had about 30,000 people on every day working on this event, just to create that one perfect setting for their wedding. So that's how it was. Music festivals is a big part of me in my studio. I mean, being a musician, to be able to be having worked with so many music festivals in the past, and then to be able to, continue working with music festivals. Lollapalooza came to India. Now, this is a new festival that just happened last week, and this is something I was the creative director for. We had about some of the big names that had come. We had about 60,000 people coming for the festival. It was massive. It was about 55 acres of land. Now, this is a place where I truly enjoy being a part of. This is Cigarettes After Sex. I was performing there, one of the stages, and this was the amount of people that showed up. Chaotic. If you ask me, last 3 days at the festival, about 68 hours, one hadn't slept. And literally, it was concerted chaos in the most beautiful setting ever. And at the end, since this is an international festival, we had praises from all across the globe, because it happens in about 7 different countries. For me, I think that's when I was like, what, ab ho gaya, aap kar sakte hain. This is where I was truly happy. Obviously, we came about really cool installations, photo ops for people to have fun with, and then a bunch of other stuff as well. So this was again another installation there. Some other music festival stuff that you see. Like I said, I truly enjoy working on music festivals. These are just some of the images that I work with, and as you can see, I love colors as well. This is my team. This is back in 2018. From 4, we've gone to 12, probably double by the end of it. Yes. Okay, next up is brand launches. Obviously, we work with multiple brands, Adidas being one of them. Work with a lot of brands here. This is mainly event stuff where we're talking about, creating an experience for events and creating an outwardly experience rather, where people come. Not only is it about the brand, but it's also about getting to an experience. This is an installation that I've created for United Nations, something for Auto Expo, where we actually created a life-sized car model out of glass, some other fun stuff that I'll be, skimming through, more music stuff that you'll see. Beyond that, that I'll show you is, this is a Halloween setup that we have done. Interiors is also a part of it. Now, for me, I mean, like I keep saying, it's not something that I've always thought that I would be doing, but then again, as and when a challenge comes in, I'm like, what, layout, let's figure it out. So these are some of the stores that I've built in the past, and this is something that I've also worked on, entirely from scratch, because I'm not an architect, I'm not an interior designer, but then again, to be able to take on a challenge is something that I truly enjoy. Right? So these are just some images of recent work. Style Bhai. Now, who is Style Bhai? Now, this is something friends started calling me because I started something really fun, which was a range of jackets, which was something that I thought would be fun to do. Now, all of this started with a story where I had a really old, cheap, knuckly Burberry jacket that I didn't want to part ways with, and I felt like, this is the perfect time to actually get it painted by a local painter. So I reached out to a painter. I told him, boss, kuch banao full patti, and just do something that you find. Obviously, I thought maybe he's a little hesitant in the beginning. Started doing things, and it turned out to be looking something like this. Now, I put it up on social media, and slowly people sort of reached out to me saying it's very cool, and slowly I thought maybe this is something that's fun. Now, I reached out to many more artisans from the country. Now I started reaching out to even your pitchway painters. I started reaching out to truck artist painters. Slowly sort of realized that there's a market for something like this, and started making one-off pieces for Adidas, started working with Levi's, Gas, and all these guys. Even got to design something for Rohit Sharma for his cause. So, and also Ranveer Singh as well, that you were saying. So this is a jacket that was entirely hand painted. Also a light Then at the same time, we've got more of other stuff. So the idea was to actually revive Indian crafts, because this is the same jacket. Usually, halwa ya mithai nahi khala, but I'm here wearing this. So forget that. And yeah, the idea was to actually revive traditional Indian art forms is how all of this came about. So it's not something where I'm saying I want to be the torchbearer of saving the craftsmen of the country, but at the same time, हम तो आगे बढ़ ही रहे, साथ में उनको भी लेके आगे बढ़ते हैं. That was the whole idea of this, and slowly and steadily, बस घमंड नहीं है. So obviously, for me, someone I am but to my surprise, to my luck, this happened, and it really changed my perception. It changed my life entirely. And a lot more happened. So obviously, what really worked for me was to be consistent, honestly, and all of this really kept on following one after the other, and then me to be a part of here, is essentially just me being consistent. I've not done anything different. I've just taken one thing that was there, is to take on, something that you love and let it heal you. That's how I think about it. And once that happens, you don't have to work a single day of your life, really. As cliche as it may sound, but that's essentially me, and that's what I truly enjoy doing. Just literally take something, create something, and just be happy with it. Because as you can see, there's a wide, array of different things that you'll see all across. But to thank, the reason why I'm here, I must thank my heroes before I say goodbye. These are the guys who are behind the scene, all the labelers that I work with, all the teams that I work with, always wearing fun shirts, such as, I like the sound you make when you shut up. Now, they are never aware of what is that they're wearing. This one says, I'm dying because of you, you're living because of me. I don't know what he's wearing, right? But at the same time, stop making stupid people famous. Forget the one.